Okay, students, I am giving you a short summary or just a review of the novel Goodbye, Mr. Chips. It was written by screenwriter and novelist James Hilton. He wrote this autobiographical novel during Hitler's rise to power. Uh, this novel basically deals with the thoughts and memories of a popular English school teacher, Mr. Chipping, who was nicknamed as Mr. Chips. And James Hilton has dedicated it to his father, who was a school teacher himself. This novel was published in newspaper, and then later on it was reprinted in a book form in 1934. And later on this became a very famous book. The book has been charged with sentimentally, but it remains a classic for its enduring tale of a beloved teacher and its chronicling of major social events. For example, there was a great exhibition and the Franco-Prussian War, World War One, and all that. Goodbye, Mr. Chips has the major themes of mortality, the value of education, and reverence for one's forbearers. The book opens with Mr. Chips, an 85-year-old man who takes every opportunity to confirm that he is not ill and about to die. He is semi bald and white haired. The doctor says he should not venture out in the cold, but also has to admit that Mr. Chips is in finer health than himself. Mr. Chips is unaware, though, that Mrs. Wickett, the landlady where he is living, uh, has been tasked by the doctor with keeping Mr. Chips safe from the cold because his lungs are very weak and he gets easily infected by the flu. Mr. Chips spends his youth and entire adult life working for Brookfield School, a fictional preparatory school in southeast England. The episodic novel is linear with no driving plot. Major events take place inside of Mr. Chips' head, and the story progresses based on the impact Mr. Chips had on several students. Basically, this novel has only recollections which are going place in the mind of Mr. Chips. Nothing happens actually. Mr. Chips was born in London in 1848. One of his first memories is visiting the Great Exhibition of 1851, a world famous event that solidified London as a world class city. In 1870, he is hired by the Brookfield Preparatory School for Boys. The school is well respected but not particularly prestigious. He is very enthusiastic going in, and the boys respond to his caring demeanor while acknowledging he is inexperienced. Basically, the school is a school of second rank, and Mr. Chips is also a teacher of second rank. He also perceives that he is not athletic, good at most games, or scholastically gifted. Still, the boys like him despite his disheveled appearance and non sequiturs. Mr. Chipping's credentials are average, and his passion for Greek and Latin, which he teaches, is minimal. He views them as dead languages and thinks the boys would learn more from detective novels because he himself basically is interested in detectives novel. And in first chapter the writer mentions that he used to take a detective novel um, at night to bed. Yet over time he improves and becomes a favorite of students and administrators. Mr. Chips recalls his first day of class. a boy, last name Collie, robbed his desk over with a whack, and Mr. Chips punished him by assigning 100 lines for his misbehavior. He had no trouble with Collie after that. Mr. Chips also recalls teaching Collie's son and grandson he is revered for never forgetting a face. He has a very sharp memory. He never forgets the things and faces of people. As the years progress, Mr. Chips becomes the only teacher who remembers what the school was like in its earlier days, the days of Mr. Weatherby, the first principal when Mr. Chips joined the school. He's also the only one who remembers Headmaster Weatherby. Um, in 1870, Mr. Weatherby hired Mr. Chips. So Mr. Chips looks at that period with nostalgia because there was a sense of self-respect and obligation to family and society that he thinks has diminished with the turn of the century. Mr. Chips remembers having tea and biscuits with his students. Some of them remarked that Mr. Chips was jolly, ordinary bachelor. It pains him that no one is alive to remember his wife, Catherine Bridges. He was 48 and thought he would never marry. She was 25 and took an interest in him. Mr. Chips was slightly conservative and did not let the boys have too much fun in class. And when after marrying Catherine Bridges, his views broaden and he loosens his rules in the classroom. Catherine, full of charm, also wins the approval of Chipping's pupils and his co-workers. Catherine is opposite of what Mr. Chips thought he wanted in a woman. She is deeply liberal and opinionated. She is having views, particular views, radical views about politics and journal views. Yet her passion brings her out of a vicious torment side of Mr. Chips. With her by his side, Mr. Chips speaks more openly and laughs more often. Unfortunately, a year after their marriage, Catherine dies, giving birth. That same day, their infant son also dies. Mr. Chips dovetails into a depression, but recalling Catherine's beyond it spirit, he manages to continue with life. Finally, when Mr. Chips retires, he moves across the street from Brookfield to keep in touch with all the students. He also introduces himself to the new arrivals. When World War I strikes, he returns as a teacher because much of the faculty has gone off to fight the war. Mr. Chips is deeply hurt throughout the war. When he hears about the deaths of many of his former students, near death, Mr. Chips overhears a colleague